is wacky mix match clothes day. Miss Lang, she's going all out. She's got her stripes and her checkers. Have some shorts with my pants. I got some mix matching shoes and socks. Doing everything I can to put a little smile on your guys' face. I hope you're enjoying your day. It is finally Friday. We are going to do some reading of Harry Potter. I'm going to make sure I post some pictures of my lovely outfit this week for Spirit Week. I hope that you guys will post some as well. I miss you all. I love you. And we are going to start reading. Harry and Ron have just taken the Polyjuice potion and turned into Crabbe and Goyle. We are about at a super exciting part. They are going to ask Mr. Malfoy if he is the heir of Slytherin and if he has opened up the Chamber of Secrets. Okay, so we are going to get started. I'm going to keep reading. This is the last reading of this week. Know that I love you all and I hope that you enjoy. Harry and Ron hurried down the stone steps into the darkness, their footsteps echoing particularly loudly as Crabbe and Goyle's huge feet hit the floor. Feeling that this wasn't going to be as easy as they had hoped, the labyrinth passage was deserted. They walked deeper and deeper into the school, constantly checking their watches to see how much time was left. After a quarter of an hour, just when they were getting desperate, they heard a sudden movement ahead. "Ha!" said Ron excitedly. "There's one of them now!" The figure was emerging from a side room, and as they hurried nearer, however, their hearts sank. It wasn't a Slytherin, it was Percy. "What are you two doing down here?" said Ron in surprise. Percy looked affronted. "That," he said stiffly, "is none of your business." "It's Crabbe, isn't it?" "Well, yeah," said Ron. "Well, get off to your dormitory," said Percy sternly. "It's not safe to go wandering around the dark corridors these days." "You are," Ron pointed out. "I," said Percy, drawing himself up, "am a prefect. Nothing's about to attack me." A voice suddenly echoed behind Harry and Ron. Draco Malfoy was strolling toward them, and for the first time in his life, Harry was pleased to see him. "There you are," he drawled, looking at them. "Have you two been picking out in the Great Hall all this time? I've been looking for you. I want to show you something really funny." Malfoy glanced witheringly at Percy. "And what are you doing down here, Weasley?" he sneered. Percy looked outraged. "You want to show a bit more respect to a school prefect," he said. "I don't like your attitude." Malfoy sneered and motioned for Harry and Ron to follow him. Harry almost said something apologetic to Percy, but caught himself just in time. He and Ron hurried after Malfoy, who said, as they turned down the next passage, "That Peter Weasley." "Percy," Ron corrected him automatically. "Whatever," said Malfoy. "I've noticed him sneaking around a lot lately, and I bet I know what he's up to. He thinks he's going to catch Slytherin's heir single-handed." He gave a short, derisive laugh. Harry and Ron exchanged excited looks. Malfoy paused by a stretch of bare, damp stone wall. "What's the new password again?" he said to Harry. Said Harry. "Oh yeah, pure blood," said Malfoy, not listening, and a stone door concealed in a wall slid open. Malfoy marched through it, and Harry and Ron followed him. The Slytherin common room was a long, low, underground room with rough stone walls and a ceiling from which green, roundish lamps were hanging on chairs. A fire was crackling under an elaborately carved mantelpiece ahead of them, and several Slytherins were silhouetted around it in high back chairs. "Wait here," said Malfoy to Harry and Ron, motioning them to a pair of empty chairs set back from the fire. "I'll go and get it. My father's just sent it to me." Wondering what Malfoy was going to show them, Harry and Ron sat down, doing their best to look at home. Malfoy came back a minute later, holding what looked like a newspaper clipping. He thrust it under Ron's nose. "That'll give you a laugh," he said. Harry saw Ron's eyes widen in shock as he read the clipping quickly and gave a very forced laugh and handed it to Harry. It had been clipped from the Daily Prophet, and it said, "Inquiry at the Ministry of Magic. Arthur Weasley, head of the Misuse of Muggle Artifacts Office, was today fined 50 galleons for bewitching a Muggle car. Mr. Lucius Malfoy, governor of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, where the enchanted car crashed earlier this year, called today for Mr. Weasley's resignation. Weasley has brought the ministry into dispute. Mr. Malfoy told the reporter he is clearly unfit to draw up our laws, and his ridiculous Muggle Protection Act should be scrapped immediately." Mr. Weasley was unavailable for comment, although his wife told reporters to clear off as she set the family ghoul on them. "Well," said Malfoy impatiently as Harry handed the clipping back to him, "don't you think it's funny?" "Ha ha ha ha," said Harry bleakly. "Arthur Weasley loves Muggles so much he could snap his wand in half and just go and join them," said Malfoy scornfully. "You'd never know the Weasleys were purebloods the way they behave." Ron's, or rather Crabbe's, face was contorted with fury. "What's up with you, Crabbe?" snapped Malfoy. "Stomach ache," Ron grunted. "Well, go to the hospital wing and give all those mudbloods a kick for me," said Malfoy, snickering. "I'm surprised the Daily Prophet hasn't reported all these attacks yet," he went on thoughtfully. I suppose Dumbledore's trying to hush it all up. He'll be sacked if he doesn't stop soon. Father always said old Dumbledore's the worst thing that ever happened to this place. He loved Muggleborns. A decent headmaster would never let slime like that Creevy in. Malfoy started taking pictures with an imaginary camera and did a cruel but accurate impression of calling, Potter, can I have your picture, Potter? Can I have your autograph? Can I lick your shoes, please, Potter? He dropped his hands and looked at Harry and Ron. What's the matter with you two? Far too late, Harry and Ron forced themselves to laugh, but Malfoy seemed satisfied. Perhaps Crabbe and Goyle will always slow on the uptake. St. Potter, the Mudblood's friend, said Malfoy slowly. He's another one with no proper wizard feeling, or he wouldn't go around here with that jumped-up Granger Mudblood, and people think he's the Slytherin heir. Harry and Ron waited with bated breath. Malfoy was surely seconds away from telling them it was him. But then, I wish I knew who it was, said Malfoy petulantly. I couldn't help them. Ron's jaw dropped so that Crabbe looked even more clueless than usual. Fortunately, Malfoy didn't notice, and Harry, thinking fast, said, You must have some idea who's behind it. You know I haven't, Goyle. How many times do you have to tell you? Snapped Malfoy. And Father won't tell me anything about the last time the chamber was opened either. Of course, it was 50 years ago, so it was before his time. But he knows all about it, and he says that it was all kept quiet, and it'll look suspicious if you know too much information about it. But I know one thing. Last time the Chamber of Secrets is open, a Mudblood died. So I bet it's a matter of time before one of them is killed this time. I hope it's Granger, he said with a relish. Ron was clutching Crabbe's gigantic fist. Feeling that it would be a bit of a giveaway if Ron punched Malfoy, Harry shot him a warning look and said, Do you know if the person who opened the chamber last time was caught? Oh yeah, whoever it was expelled, said Malfoy. They're probably still in Azkaban. Azkaban, said Harry, puzzled. Azkaban, the wizard prison, Goyle, said Malfoy, looking at him in disbelief. Honestly, if you were any slower, you'd be backwards. He shifted restlessly in his chair and said, Father says to keep my head down and let the hair of Slytherin get on with it. He says the school needs riddling of all the Mudblood filth, but not to get mixed up in it, of course. He's got a lot on his plate at the moment. You know, the Ministry of Magic raided our manor last week? Yeah, said Malfoy. Luckily, they didn't find much. Father's got some very valuable dark arts stuff. But luckily, we've got our own secret chamber under the drawing room floor. Oh, said Ron. Malfoy looked at him, so did Harry, and Ron blushed. Even his hair was turning red. His nose was also slowly lengthening, and their hour was up. Ron was turning back into himself, and from the look of horror he was suddenly giving Harry, he must be too. They both jumped to their feet. Medicine for my stomach, Ron grunted, and without further ado they sprinted the length of the Slytherin common room, hurled themselves up the stone wall, and dashed up the passage, hoping against hope that Malfoy hadn't noticed anything. Harry could feel his feet slipping around in Goyle's huge shoes and had to hoist up his robes as he shrank. They crashed up the steps and into the dark entrance hall, which was full of muffled pounding coming from the closet where they'd locked Crabbe and Goyle. Leaving their shoes outside the closet door, they sprinted in their socks up the marble staircase towards Moaning Myrtle's bathroom. Well, it wasn't a complete waste of time, Ron panted, closing the bathroom door behind them. I know we still haven't found out who's doing the attacks, but I'm going to write Dad tomorrow and tell him to check under the Malfoys' drawing room. Harry checked his face in the cracked mirror. He was back to normal. He put on his glasses as he and Ron hammered on the door of Hermione's stall. Hermione, come out, we've got loads to tell you. Go away, Hermione squeaked. Harry and Ron looked at each other. What's the matter, said Ron. You must be back to normal by now. We are. But Moaning Myrtle glided suddenly through the stall door. Harry had never seen her looking so happy. Ooh, wait till you see. It's awful. They heard the lock slide back and Hermione emerged, sobbing, her robes pulled up over her head. What's up, said Ron uncertainly. Have you still got Maleficent's nose or something? Hermione let her robes fall and Ron backed into the sink. Her face was covered in black fur and her eyes had turned yellow, and there was a long pointed ears poking out of her hair. It was cat hair, she said. Maleficent Bulstrode must have a cat, and the potion isn't supposed to be used for animal transformations. Uh-oh, said Ron. You'll be teased something dreadful, said Myrtle happily. It's okay, Hermione, said Ron quickly. We'll take you up to the hospital wing. Madame Pomfrey won't ask too many questions. It took a long time to persuade Hermione to leave the bathroom. Moaning Myrtle sped them on their way with a half-guilty flaw. Wait till everyone finds out you've got a tail. Okay, guys, that was the end of that chapter. So we are going to be on chapter, I believe it is 13. It is called The Very Secret Diary. We are getting to some good parts. This part where they turn into Crab and Goyle is an awesome clip to watch on YouTube. I would suggest watching it. And seeing Hermione after she turns into the cat is really funny as well. So, guys, happy Friday. It has been a full week of Harry Potter read-alouds. I hope that you are dressed a little bit wacky today. Miss Lang will take a picture and put it on eClass so you can see. I love and miss you all. I hope you have a absolutely great weekend. I hope that you were flexing this Friday and practicing all the work that you needed to do. And I can't wait to see you next week. So I love you all and have a good rest of your day.